Something strange is happening around Lil Wayne, and the headlines aren't telling the full story. Rumors, sightings, legal twists, and unexpected appearances have all built up to a moment fans didn't see coming. And now everyone wants to know the same thing. What exactly is going on with Weezy right now? In this video, we break down what really happened. The CMA red carpet shocker. Lil Wayne stepped into the 2025 Country Music Awards on November 19th with a calmness that didn't match the storm he was about to create. His presence alone would have been enough. Hip-hop royalty crossing into one of country music's most traditional nights. But it was the woman beside him who shifted the atmosphere. Taylor May LaCour walked at his side with the quiet composure of someone used to being watched. A rising TikTok singer with a catalog built on vulnerability, she contrasted sharply with the world Lil Wayne has occupied for decades. Together, they didn't march onto a carpet, they slipped into a narrative no one expected. And the cameras caught everything. Photos trailed them as they paused for portraits with artists like Tyler Hubbard. Their proximity, easy, unforced, sent timelines into overdrive. Blogs whispered theories, commentators questioned motives, and fans sifted through every angle as if each frame held an answer. Yet the truth wasn't so simple. Because while some outlets immediately labeled Taylor as Wayne's date, others pointed to past reports describing him in a long-term relationship with chef Jennifer Spencer. The contrast deepened the mystery. Had something changed? Or were observers constructing a storyline faster than facts could catch up? Still, the image of Lil Wayne standing beneath the bright lights of a country music stage with a TikTok star at his side felt deliberate, or at least symbolic. Two worlds that rarely intersect had quietly collided, and the collision raised more questions than it resolved. Taylor's history only sharpened the intrigue. She was not a passive figure drawn into the rapper's orbit. She carried her own public narrative, one shaped by her breakout performance in 2020, her widely viewed emotional content, and a personal life lived partly online, including a recent divorce. Seeing her step into a new context, with a figure as established as Wayne, altered how audiences read the moment. But before assumptions could harden into conclusions, one thing became clear. This was not a random appearance. It was a moment that unsettled the expected order. A pairing that forced fans to reconsider the boundaries between genres, generations, and public identities. And still, one question lingered, quietly threading through every reaction. Why now? Who is Taylor May? The TikTok star suddenly in Wayne's world. Before her name appeared beside Lil Wayne's on a CMA red carpet caption, Taylor May LaCour had been building a very different kind of audience. Her rise did not come from industry machinery or radio rotations. It began quietly, almost accidentally, with a single upload on TikTok in August 2020, a short performance wrapped in the kind of vulnerability people rarely share publicly.
Look over the top. There you go. Let's see the grill.
That video, captioned, "All my friends are fake," did not spread like typical internet noise. It seeped, then surged. Views climbed into the millions, eventually passing the 15 million mark. What drew people in wasn't spectacle. It was emotion, unfiltered, simple, and disarming. Her soft vocals carried the kind of sincerity listeners recognized instantly because it mirrored their own private doubts. From there, Taylor's digital presence shifted. She became known not just as a singer, but as a storyteller whose content blurred music and confession. Her catalog of emotional pop clips created a community of viewers who saw themselves reflected in her lyrics. She didn't chase virality, it trailed her instead. Yet her personal life unfolded just as publicly. Her marriage to actor Peyton Meyer, once a recurring figure in her posts, became part of her online identity. Their announcement in October 2021 that they were expecting a child led to an outpouring of support, and when their son Ziggy was born in March 2022, audiences celebrated the milestone with her. But what happened next shifted the tone. Taylor eventually revealed that she and Meyer were divorcing, a revelation made without theatrics, but with a clarity suggesting the decision had been difficult, perhaps long considered. The announcement marked the end of one chapter and the uncertain start of another. Still, no one expected her next public appearance to unfold beside Lil Wayne. When she walked into the 2025 CMA Awards at his side, the contrast was immediate and striking. Her world, built on emotional pop ballads, quiet reflections, and candid online moments, stood beside Wayne's, a world defined by decades of influence, lyrical intensity, and a very different musical legacy. Their pairing created a kind of narrative friction, the type that naturally draws attention because it challenges what audiences assume about celebrity alliances. With her divorce still recent and the public still adjusting to the shift in her personal life, the sight of her beside one of hip-hop's most recognizable figures intensified the speculation. Headlines multiplied, interpretations clashed, and curiosity deepened. The Carter 6 era, Wayne returns to full power. Before the cameras caught Lil Wayne at the CMA Awards, and before speculation trailed his footsteps across social media, his year had already been defined by something far more deliberate. In June 2025, he stepped back onto a stage he had shaped for more than 2 decades and began the The Carter 6 North American Tour, an extended reminder that his presence in music had never slipped into the past tense.
How y'all doing? Man of my word, I stand on my word. They get on my nerves, I get high and land like a bird. Respect I don't demand, I deserve. My stand is superb. Family first, family second, family third.
The tour wasn't framed as a comeback. It didn't need to be. Instead, it unfolded as a continuation of a legacy that has resisted time, culture shifts, and industry changes. Night after night, crowds filled arenas not out of nostalgia, but out of recognition, an understanding that Wayne's catalog had aged into something larger than its moment. For 4 months, from June through October, the tour moved across the continent with the momentum of an artist still operating at full power. The Carter series, a body of work that began in the early 2000s and shaped the landscape of modern rap, became the spine of the performances. Wayne didn't revise his history, he revisited it, measuring what had changed and what had endured. He wasn't alone on those stages. Tyga joined him on select dates, a reminder of their long musical lineage. No Cap brought a newer generation into the fold, and Belly Gang Cushington added a contrasting energy, creating a bridge between eras and audiences. The mix reflected the structure of Wayne's career, built on mentorship, collaboration, and a willingness to evolve without discarding what came before. Crowds didn't just attend, they returned. Some came for the early Carter years, others for the mid-2010s mixtape reign, and many for the simple fact that Wayne still performs with a precision that refuses to fade. The tour's success suggested something quietly significant. Even after decades in the public eye, he had not entered a twilight phase. Instead, he had recalibrated. Yet by November 2025, after the final show closed and the noise dissolved, no future dates were listed. The schedule went silent, not as a retreat, but as a breath, a pause after months of movement. And in that pause, the public's attention shifted elsewhere, searching for clues about his next step. Still, one insight lingered beneath the headlines. Lil Wayne had not resurfaced. He had never left. The Carter 6 era simply reminded everyone of the scale of his staying power. The 7-year legal saga finally ends. While Lil Wayne was moving across stages and award show carpets, another story was unfolding far from the public eye. A slow, grinding legal battle that had followed him through nearly every chapter of his recent career. It began in 2019, lingered through multiple states, and returned again and again like an unresolved echo. And in October 2025, it finally reached its end. The dispute centered on Ron Sweeney, Wayne's former lawyer, whose role in the rapper's business dealings had once appeared straightforward. But when Wayne terminated Sweeney in 2018, a larger conflict surfaced. At the heart of it was a 10% contingency fee, an amount Wayne argued was not only exorbitant, but more than double what attorneys commonly charged in the music industry. He insisted the agreement had never been formally signed and therefore could not be enforced. Yet the truth wasn't so simple. Sweeney maintained that he was owed far more than Wayne acknowledged. His countersuit demanded $20 million, claiming he was entitled to a percentage of Wayne's earnings from post-termination deals, including the Cash Money Records settlement and Universal Music Group's acquisition of Young Money Masters. The stakes stretched beyond numbers. They touched the foundations of ownership, loyalty, and control. What followed was nearly 7 years of litigation. Hearings in New York, filings in California, arguments replayed across jurisdictions. The case slipped between courtrooms, resurfacing just when it seemed close to resolution. And throughout that period, a financial threat hovered over Wayne's future, shadowing even the high points of his career. But in mid-October 2025, between October 13th and 14th, Judge James DeGust issued a ruling that shifted everything. He declared the contingency fee arrangement void. He ruled that Sweeney could not legally collect the 10% he sought. and he barred him from probing Wayne's financial records after their professional relationship ended. The decision did not erase Sweeney's entire claim. The judge noted he could still pursue reasonable fees for past services, but the ruling dismantled the most consequential part of the case, the portion that had carried the possibility of multi-million-dollar liability. As Wayne's attorney, Jonathan Davis, later reflected, the decision reaffirmed something fundamental. The rule of law still mattered, even in complex disputes that stretched across years and coasts. With the judgment finalized, the weight lifted. A legal cloud that had trailed Wayne for nearly a decade finally cleared, leaving him free to move into the next phase of his career without the quiet pressure of a looming financial battle. Still, one question remained. What would he choose to build now that the burden was gone? The weight lifted. Wayne walks free. When the ruling finally arrived, it did more than close a case. It released Lil Wayne from a conflict that had moved silently beneath the surface of his career for nearly 7 years. The legal fight with Ron Sweeney had stretched across courts, states, filings, and counterfilings, creating a pressure that rarely made headlines but never fully disappeared. And when Judge James DeGuste declared the contested fee agreement void, something shifted, quietly but unmistakably.
All right, so Lil Wayne won a lawsuit in $20 million involving his former manager. So Lil Wayne was hit with a hefty lawsuit in December 2020 when his former manager, which we report on this, Ronald Sweeney, company sued him for $20 million in unpaid commissions. Sweeney's lawsuit claimed Wayne failed to keep a number of financial agreements, including to pay him a 10% share of music-related lawsuit settlements.
Wayne's attorney, Jonathan Davis, captured the moment in a brief statement to Billboard. After an almost 7-year battle, the rule of law still matters. The words were measured, but they carried the weight of years of uncertainty. For Wayne, the stakes had never been small. He had faced the possibility of losing as much as $20 million, a sum large enough to reshape any artist's financial landscape. Yet the danger extended beyond numbers. The lawsuit had placed his business choices under a kind of prolonged scrutiny. Each new development brought questions about past deals, old contracts, and the internal machinery of an artist who built a vast career over decades. The public didn't always follow the details, but the case lingered in the background, reshaping perceptions, creating doubts, and forcing Wayne to defend decisions he believed had been grounded in fairness. With the judge's ruling, that shadow finally lifted. The decision not only invalidated the 10% contingency fee, it affirmed that Wayne was not bound to the claims Sweeney made about post-termination earnings. It cleared away the uncertainty that had followed him from one courthouse to another, and it ensured that the future of his catalog, his touring, and his business ventures would not be tied to a disputed verbal agreement from years earlier. For the first time in a long time, Wayne stood at a point of clarity. His finances were no longer under threat of a sweeping judgment. His past was no longer tangled in a high-stakes legal argument, and the constant tension of waiting for decisions, waiting for hearings, waiting for an ending, finally dissolved. What emerged was a version of Wayne quieter than the headlines suggested, but more grounded than before. With the legal weight removed, he could refocus on the work that had sustained him for more than 20 years. He could step forward without the subtle drag of unfinished business. Still, one quiet truth lingered. Freedom from the case wasn't just a victory. It was the chance to rebuild the next chapter entirely on his own terms. Lil Wayne's journey through fame, love, and legal battles shows the weight of legacy and the cost of freedom. Even icons face moments that redefine them. What does it mean to truly reclaim your life after years of struggle? Share your thoughts below.